is top 4 off stream. It was another Lugia mirror,
Yep.
and it was very convincing, a 2-0. It was very even at first, and he was able to pull ahead with Raikou. So we'll see if he's going to favor that in this matchup.
And his opponent will, of course, be Andrew Hedrick, who's got a top 8 finish at Peoria Regionals this season, has already improved on that finish by getting at least to the finals today. But he's looking to take the title here to become the Orlando Regional Champion, of course, playing that Lugia V-Star alongside Archeops.
Yep, classic deck. There is the tug of war now with the archetype, where players, do they want to tech against a lot of things, or are they going back to basics, just play for pure power and consistency? When we compare to Isaiah Bradner, you know, the top 2 specialists, the finalists here, top 8 in Toronto, a very recent accomplishment. I think everybody remembers his dynamic finish as a finalist in NAIC, where he had brought that Palkia, which was so powerful. So he's known for taking these strong decks and playing them better than anyone else can.
Yeah, once again as well, will be that Lugia Archeops. So we've got a little bit of a mirror match on our hands. There are a few differences in these two lists. We'll talk about them as we get into the game, though. We're getting ready to see these prize cards laid out. And hopefully there's nothing too detrimental for either of these two players.
One of the reasons players don't like to play the mirror is they feel it can be a bit too swingy, a bit too coin flippy. But if the prizes are pretty even keeled, the players get off to a good start, it can be a good, clean matchup, and that's what I'm hoping we're going to see soon.
Yeah, nothing too bad, honestly, for either player. Andrew's prized his 1 Stoutland, but that's not a super important card in this matchup. Each player has prized a Boss's Orders, but they both play 2 copies, so they'll still have access. A couple of energies for Isaiah can always get a little awkward depending on how the energies fall for you. And Andrew did prize an Aurora energy, which could be really important if he wants to attack with that amazing rare Yveltal or that amazing rare Raikou.
When we're looking at the energies, relying on a special attacker means that Isaiah is going to be a little bit more favored, but if the game goes long and you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for those energies, Isaiah can find himself in a tight spot. So for game number 1, Andrew Hedrick is going to open us up with the Primate Wisdom.
And gets rewarded for it, finding that Evolution Incense, which is going to be able to find an Archeops. And with the Ultra Ball in hand, he's going to start this game off by getting down an Archeops in the discard pile and also getting off a Lugia V from the deck as well. Going to take a moment here in this final match, check those prize cards, make sure he is aware of what he has. And I just noticed one of his unique cards in his list. He does play an Echoing Horn, and that is something that could really favor him in this mirror match.
When things come down to the wire, being able to bring out a important 2 prize target from the discard pile and really jump out ahead of your opponent is going to be so key, Chip. And as we're at the top of this best of 3, this Lugia mirror match, do you think there's ever a place to go for a single Archeops sort of tempo play?
It totally depends on what you draw into and what your opponent has, right? Andrew here being in the advantage already by going first. If Isaiah only gets down 1 Lugia and Andrew has an opportunity to go with 1 Archeops and lead to KOing that Lugia, that's totally worth it. But it just totally depends, right? We won't know until we get a little bit deeper into this game. Other things I do want to mention about this mirror match, Andrew Hedrick is not playing Dunsparce in his list, so he will not have the ability to remove weakness from any of his Lugia V-Star, which could open up an opportunity for Isaiah Bradner to come in with a Raikou and a Choice Belt, dealing enough damage to one-hit KO a Lugia V-Star and also spreading damage to a benched Pokemon like this Oranguru.
Once that happens, he could also jump way far ahead. If your opponent has a lot of damaged Pokemon in play, it makes it very difficult to retreat and promote effectively and safely. Over to Isaiah, also has the Oranguru in the active spot. We'll see if he goes for first action Primate Wisdom or if there's another play to be had.
Yeah, it always totally depends on what is in the hand. Sometimes you have cards you don't want to be forced to discard. You want to see what else there is available, and sometimes you don't mind it too much. In this spot, it seems like Lost Vacuum and Double Turbo Energy are 2 cards that you're okay losing. Double Turbo is not the best to go down, but Lost Vacuum is not much of a factor in this mirror match.
And this is going to be a deep search, of course, for Isaiah. His first look at the deck, sees the Dunsparce, has the Radiant Charizard, going to take counts of all the Pokemon, all the special energies, and map out all of your attacks. Normally we see this sort of energy mapping, of course, with Lost Zone and with Lugia, especially when you're anticipating the match to go for longer stretches of time. You have to make absolutely sure you're distributing your energies as cleanly as possible. You don't want to be left with an empty tank when things come down to the wire. That's what we saw in game number 3 in Andrew Hedrick's top 4 match. He had enough energy to get the Primal Turbo for a key retreat to take those final prize cards. And Isaiah has to be on that same level. He was able to take a little bit of a break while Andrew was finishing up his match, and Andrew is maybe a little bit warmed up from having just finished a very stringent best of 3.
Yeah, warmed up or exhausted, that is the question. It was definitely a down-to-the-wire game, and Andrew did not get much of a break. Got a second to walk around, get a drink of water, but we're right back into it, right with the finals.
And Isaiah picks up that Lugia V off of the Ultra Ball. And we're eyeballing a quick ball here, discarding the Evital.
Interesting. Does have to lose that card. That is something that can be really strong to get back in the game, especially when you're going second in this mirror match. Isaiah also could have used Ultra Ball to get an Archeops and discard it from this quick ball, but he doesn't have much going in the hand right now. So I think what this situation is looking like is that he needs to grab Luminion here, use that Luminous Sign ability, getting out a supporter card, which is exactly what he's doing. He'll put down the Lugia, he'll play this Research, draw a new hand of 7, which is solid, but he has no Archeops in his discard pile right now.
So it does put him massively ahead, Chip. When you discard the Evital, you have to make a big bet that you're going to somehow jump out ahead and just never let go. That's the key attacker you need to take down. Lugia V-Star, after it's kind of been pumped up with a ton of powerful energy, that's typically the way you even out the prize trade. But getting rid of that Evital, it's going to be a tall order now to ever make a comeback if he falls behind.
And I wonder if Isaiah is making this play, discarding this Evital, knowing that Andrew doesn't have Dunsparce. Because if he doesn't have Dunsparce, even if Manaphy does eventually come down, he, at a minimum, will be able to take a one-hit knockout with a Raikou and a Choice Belt onto a Lugia. So he might be making this play, making this decision, losing the Archeops because he has that decklist knowledge. Of course, his friend and teammate, Reagan, who got top 8, did lose to Andrew in top 8. So maybe Isaiah's had a chance to talk with Reagan, figure out exactly what are some of the interesting techs that Andrew has in his list.
And once you figure out how exactly your opponent has constructed their Lugia list, you can identify their weaknesses and then strike. The Raikou's going to be so pivotal in this matchup, Chip, and the Evolution Incense after coming down from the Oranguru finds the Archeops. And overall, this is looking to be a little bit more put together of a turn. We thought that Isaiah might have a more rocky start, but indeed, Archeops finds its way into the discard pile from a quick ball, and Isaiah seems to be keeping up after all. Andrew just has to find that Lugia V-Star, maybe get that single Archeops like you were talking about, Chip, if he finds that window of opportunity, if he deems it to be the correct time and place. Quick Ball does find the Raikou. That's going to have a lot of immense pressure for Andrew, especially because he opted out of the Dunsparce. This Lugia is going to still be lightning weak, and it's going to be key for Isaiah to get those 2 prizes down the road.
It may seem a little silly to look over at Isaiah's Oranguru and notice that there's a V-Guard energy on it, that he chose to attach that energy before playing Research. Why not hold off and see if you can get an energy attachment to your Lugia? And the reason he's done that is because he doesn't want to let his Oranguru get hit with the Aqua Return from Andrew's potential Luminion. Don't let your opponent cycle that Luminion over and over again, get multiple uses from it, force them to KO you with the Lugia V-Star. Really smart play from Isaiah.
Baiting a key specific attacker into the active spot is so strong, right? It's a very big brain play to get the Lugia into the active. You've got the Raikou lurking as well. Just restricting your opponent's options. You can't stop them from getting set up, but as long as you can make it so any play, any play that you want to make, Isaiah, get rid of that pesky fly there. Just cleaning up keeping the board space clean for our viewers at home. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Isaiah. I appreciate that. It was bothering me, I'm not going to lie. So Andrew does grab out this Manaphy here, and this might be his strategy in this mirror match. When the opponent has Raikou, he may think, okay, Dunsparce doesn't really matter. You can take 2 prizes on my Lugia V-Star. That's fine. It's as long as you don't get 3 prizes that turn. So I'll keep my Manaphy around, make sure that isn't available to you. Sure, go ahead, have your Raikou. I'm going to put down my Manaphy and protect my bench.
Both players now with the Manaphy present. That's really what you want to see. Again,
this could be a big flip on the capturing Aroma. Needs to get 1 more Archeops down and has an Ultra Ball. If he can flip Tails, he'll find Archeops. Or sorry, no, I think it's if he flips Heads, he finds Archeops, right?
Yeah. Heads is to get the Evolution Pokemon.
And he needs it here. And he does hit the Heads. This is going to get that Archeops, and he's got the Ultra Ball in hand.
And now with the Irida as well from the Primate Wisdom, it looks like all the pieces are coming together, Chip. Archeops can be added to the hand. Andrew has a moment as well to evaluate the rest of the deck, see what resources are available.
Now, does Andrew have another energy? And I actually don't think he does. So he's going to have to use some of these double turbos here and make use of them in that way. And I think he did prize one, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah, having to use Primal Turbo to attach to a Pokemon just so it can retreat from the active does feel bad. And it's opening up Andrew into a line of play where this has to be my moment to seize this game. I'm giving up energy, my late game potential, just to get this early advantage.
Going back into the deck here with that Primal Turbo ability. Going to need to accelerate. Yeah, it does not actually looks like he did not prize a double turbo energy, so he'll have access to those to both maneuver this Oranguru out of the active with its 2 retreat cost or provide some more energies for this Lugia V-Star, which needs to use its Tempest Dive attack.
So overall, it's falling into place, Chip, after that Summoning Star was used for Andrew. We got the Archeops here, and the Primal Turbos are up and running. That's 2 special energy attachments onto the Oranguru to meet its retreat cost, and then 2 more energies from the second Primal Turbo goes on to Lugia V-Star.
And does grab the V-Guard energy. Really key here, as it will make it a little bit more difficult for Isaiah to respond, knocking out with his own Lugia V-Star.
And you know that your opponent's going to be attaching energy very easily with the Archeops, but if you can force them to use very specific energy, you get to hit that variance of, okay, well, if it's in the hand, then they can't accelerate it directly out of the deck. They have to jump through some hoops with the Oranguru, with the Marnie, with the Luminion before they can take down this big Pokemon. Lugia V-Star now in the active, getting a knockout, and Isaiah promotes Lugia V and draws for turn.
He's going to need 3 powerful colorless energy and a choice belt. If he gets those cards, he'll be able to one-hit KO this Lugia V-Star. He also needs a Lugia V-Star, which he was able to find here, and goes with the Marnie. And has Isaiah put 2 Archeops in the discard pile already? It might also just be 1 on his side, so we might be missing that piece as well.
If I'm remembering correctly, I think he is only on 1. We've got a lot of chances to get it here. Isaiah's also running 2 choice belts in his list, so a lot of pieces still yet to be found. But if he can respond effectively to this turn, it's going to put him very massively ahead.
So it looks like Andrew almost drew a 5th card off of Marnie, but did not look at his hand yet, so they were able to figure out which the bottom card was meant to be, and it gets put back on top of the deck.
Is there a world where Isaiah maybe brings up this Yveltal just to head that off, but you have to deal with the Lugia as well? There's really no good options here.
Yeah, and now that he's played a Marnie, he really won't be able to because he can't play another supporter, so it's got to be this Lugia going down, and I don't know if he drew the choice belt or not. That would be the missing piece here, as he was able to find an Incense, and I know there is a quick ball there in the hand. In the past, Isaiah has played Crobat V in his Lugia lists, but it's not a card he's choosing to play this time around, so he doesn't have that additional dig available to him that he's had in the past.
So Archeops is indeed found off the Evolution Incense. We have to get eyes on the hand to see if there's a way to get into the discard, and there's the quick ball. So now Archeops in the discard. A quick ball, find the next piece, the next attacker that can be set up with the Primal Turbo.
And I don't think Isaiah has any way to knock out this Lugia. Yveltal's gone down. There's no choice belt, so we can't see any sort of plays with his own Lugia V-Star building up to enough damage thanks to the V-Guard energy. And that was a huge grab from Andrew, being able to put that into play off of his own Primal Turbo last turn, and it's now put Isaiah in this position where he's going to miss this knockout.
And once that happens, your opponent takes the knockout and you don't respond with a knockout, the prize race just really gets away from you, especially since this Lugia V is already promoted, this V-Star, and it's going to be a tall order. You're giving up 2 more prizes. Isaiah just has to set up another Lugia V just for the chance of maybe going for a 2-turn knockout on the Lugia V-Star. This is going to give Andrew another shot of establishing another attacker that can immediately promote into the active and keep his momentum going. Summoning Star now for Isaiah Bradner brings 2 Archeops onto the bench, and the first Primal Turbo goes through.
Yeah, the second Lugia V coming into play. Not something you usually expect to see in the mirror match once you've already gotten to a position where you can use your first Lugia V-Star to get 2 Archeops in play. Sometimes Lugia V can just be a liability for you. In this position, though, Isaiah needing to find something to attack with to follow this up now that his Yveltal has gone down, thinks this is what he has to do.
Puts down the speed lightning, is eyeballing the Aurora, maybe wants to keep that heat energy just because it doesn't have an additional cost of needing to discard a card from hand. If he ends up drawing it, can manually attach to a Radiant Charizard as some sort of comeback mechanic later on in the game.
Yeah, it's actually funny. That heat fire energy can be really key in the mirror match against opposing Archeops, right? It forces them to have an additional powerful colorless energy on them in order to get the KO with the speed wing, which is what the end game of these mirror matches can come down to sometimes. So that heat fire, we'll keep our eye on it. It could come into play.
And after all the attachments are said and done, this Lugia V-Star is ready to swing in. It's just a matter of fact that, again, there's no choice belt, there's no powerful energy here. This is only going to be partial damage on Andrew's Lugia V-Star. Just trying to set up for a knockout in a future turn. We'll see if Isaiah can capitalize on this play, even if the knockout didn't come through right now.
190 damage on to that V-Star. And things are looking pretty solid, honestly, for Andrew Hedrick. He's got a research in hand, can ditch this hand, draw a bunch more, another evolution incense to just thin out a bit more. Now, I'm curious what he wants to do here. It looks like he's already pulling the energies to the front, and it seems like Yveltal is going to be the strategy. Are we going to see the Primal Turbos already? Yeah, looks like it.
Primal Turbo attaching the Yveltal, just getting this set up, getting the energies out of the deck so they aren't drawn when you're planning for this research. And Isaiah has big damage on this Lugia already, and the Yveltal would be nice to maybe get this caught up with the amazing shot, but we have to deal with the mana fee first.
There is only one V-Guard in the deck. A lot of times you like to see players put a V-Guard energy on their Yveltal so that it can't get hit with the Aqua return, but since Andrew has already used that one V-Guard energy, that's not a play available to him. So Isaiah will be able to respond to this with his own Luminion, but Andrew is getting really far ahead here, going to be going down to just 3 prizes when this turn is all said and done.
Even if you're able to keep up with the amount of threat potential with your opponent once they've already taken 1 or 3 prizes more than you in this very close mirror, you just don't have enough time to get the amount of knockouts you need to end the game before your opponent does. It's just the way the prize race happens. So Andrew is capitalizing absolutely on this early lead, and the V-Guard doing a lot of heavy lifting here to guarantee that Lugia V-Star gets another rotation of its Tempest Dive.
We talk about thinning all the time in the Pokemon TCG, and Andrew's doing a great job of it right here. Playing Quick Ball, getting out a Lugia V that he knows he's not going to want. Playing another Quick Ball, getting out the Pumpkaboo that he knows he won't be able to utilize, and then using Research to discard those cards. Those are now in the discard pile. He doesn't want to draw into them, so might as well pull them out of the deck, discard them with the Research, and now you stand no chance of hitting those cards whenever you need to find more valuable resources.
Andrew finds the Radiant Charizard, finds a Choice Belt. Really great options, once again, for establishing some offense. Has an Evolution Incense to get the Lugia V-Star out of the deck. So that's going to be another card that you aren't going to top deck into as you move closer and closer towards finishing off this game. This damaged Lugia V-Star is going to go onto the bench. That way, this is just another attacker that's already prepped, but we can guarantee now with the amazing destruction, we're just going to knock out Isaiah's Lugia V-Star, and this was his final attacker that was prepped, something that does the most damage in play.
This will be totally cleared out of play here, and Andrew has taken half of his prize cards. He's halfway to winning game 1 of the finals. Boss's Orders does remain in the prize cards. That could be something he needs to clean up this game to close it out. And Isaiah here, being down so far, is thinking of what his best play is. Luminion seems like the best attacker, certainly, so that comes into the active. But at this point, Isaiah's also got to be thinking, how do I win this game? How do I come back?
You get the Aqua return set up and you shuffle the Luminion back in, but then you have to promote something afterwards.
Right, exactly.
So this is another Pokemon that's going to go down. If Isaiah gives up a mana fee, that opens up a weakness to the Raikou. If he gives up an Archeops, he can't accelerate attackers. If he gives up the Lugia V, that's just 2 more prizes that Andrew is more than willing to take with this Lugia V-Star that's on the bench and ready to go. Or, again, Radiant Charizard or some other thing that he could easily set up with the Primal Turbos.
I wonder if there could be a play for Isaiah to try to weave in a Boss's Orders on a mana fee for a turn, take that out, and then come in with the Raikou later on, knock out that Lugia V-Star that's heavily damaged on the bench. That could be a strategy. But if you do that, you do leave the Yveltal in play. So it is very risky, But with Isaiah being so far behind, we might see a situation where he has to go for it. Go knock out the Manaphy with Aqua Return, and then promote your own Manaphy. That also does open up the Stoutland play from Andrew. I don't know. This is... I'm thinking through all the options here, Adam, and it is looking rough.
If your opponent is in a position, and this is what makes Lugia such a strong deck. You have such a variety of attackers that cover all these different board states and potential weaknesses that you're able to respond to your opponent's plays no matter what they knock out, no matter what they promote. It always seems like Lugia has a strong response. And because Andrew has gotten ahead, even if he so happens to just take a turn off. If he happens to whiff somehow, some strange way, Isaiah only needs that turn to stabilize, to maybe even things up. There's no way he can pull ahead, even if this Manaphy Gambit does pay off.
It will be the Marnie being played. Hey, this is the finals match. Might as well shuffle your opponent's hand. We're taking it seriously here. Drawing 5 cards now for Isaiah. He does have this knockout lined up. I wonder if he's looking for something to potentially promote after this Luminion goes back into the deck. He did already lose his Oranguru this game. It got KO'd super quickly. You could maybe send up this Lugia and just hope Andrew can't reach for the KO, but that seems unlikely. If you think Andrew still has 2 powerful colorless energies left, he could just accelerate those to Lugia.
So after Aqua Return, Isaiah is indeed going to give up an Archeops. This is probably the best option. It nullifies his ability to respond effectively with other attackers, but this tries to preserve the Lugia, tries to preserve the Manaphy. This is what you promote when you want to slow your opponent down as much as possible, especially after that Marnie. Andrew might not have the means to get a better knockout, and you're trying to buy yourself some time. 3 prizes left for Andrew.
We do see Andrew's tech. That Echoing Horn could bring back a Lugia V from the discard pile and put it onto the bench. Isaiah does only play 2 Lugia V-Star. So if he brought that Lugia V back, it would be stuck as a Lugia V. It would only have 220 hit points, and that's how he could potentially close this game out.
Primal Turbo for a powerful energy onto this Lugia V-Star. It lost some of the energy before from retreating, and now it just needs to be set back up. Evolution Incense as well to clean the deck.
I think Andrew has Luminion in hand, and I think what we're going to see, or he has Quick Ball at least to get the Luminion, and he can use that to go Boss's Orders, bring up this Lugia V-Star, attach the other powerful Turbo, or powerful colorless energy in hand, bring up this Lugia, knock it out, go down to just 1 prize card remaining.
Yeah, and Isaiah is just going to be left without any attackers. This is similar to how the Palkia Origin Form Palkia V-Star mirrors used to go, where as soon as you get that advantage, you just keep swinging until your opponent runs out of threats and they can't set up, especially even though Isaiah promoted this Arceus.
I think he just drew the boss off of Primate Wisdom. Doesn't even have to Luminion for it. Easy enough when you just draw into that piece, and you get to save Quick Ball for next turn to try to close the game out.
There's the boss's orders on the Lugia V-Star. This is going to be 2 more prizes for Andrew Hedrick, and Isaiah is not going to be able to come back from this prize deficit.
This is looking a little too difficult in this spot. Isaiah can clean up the knockout on this Lugia V-Star, but what can he attack this Lugia V-Star with that Andrew can't just immediately respond KO?
With that being said, what do we've got? The V-Guard was already put on the Oranguru. Yeah. There's no way to defend these single prize attackers.
Now, here's one thing. The Charizard with that Heat Fire energy, we talked about it earlier. That could be something, but Andrew actually does just grab the boss's orders off of his prizes. So we'll see what Isaiah can piece together here. He's going to need some combination of cards like Radiant Charizard, Heat Fire energy, and a Marnie, and also a way to get this Archeops out of the active. Going to have to retreat in energy.
After the double Primal Turbos come through, attaching energy to the Archeops and then attaching 2 more to another attacker, it's still going to be energy lost. You're dragging this game out even further. It's a lot of resources that Isaiah is just going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel to try to allocate to these attackers. He's evaluating now Andrew's discard pile, seeing how much energy is left over. Maybe if I take down this Lugia V-Star, my opponent might not have the resources to set up another attacker to take this final prize. That's Isaiah's only hope. And I don't think he's got it, but the choice belt is going to be attached nonetheless.
Attaching the choice belt and thinking through every possible route here. Going to use the Primal, well, thinking about it. Thinking about using that Primal Turbo.
Is there anything that we can grab? Is there anything in the hand? Goes for Professor's research.
Does not have the Marnie.
Has to throw away a boss's orders, knows that he's not in a position to rely on that supporter card, is just fighting for his life here in game number 1. Still 50 minutes left on the clock, 51 minutes left, and this match is going to be decided. The biggest regional so far. The players want to play and explore every possible avenue they can to know that they put their best game forward to try to take down this ginormous tournament. Radiant Charizard found, and that heat energy was still saved from earlier. But
he actually just discards it right now.
Exactly.
So I think that Isaiah's feeling like that's not going to be the way back into this one. Looking through the deck, these are the types of situations where you're just kind of reading cards, thinking through every single thing that you've put in your deck. Okay, what could possibly bail me out of this situation? Lumineon can grab boss's orders, but it cannot be played this turn as he has already played Professor's Research.
And after the second Primal Turbo, the Lumineon V receives the Aurora Energy.
It'll be another Primal Turbo here.
And there's one attachment. So this will retreat the Archeops from the active. Lumineon V does indeed come through. And it's just a matter of Andrew being able to reach out and just take this final prize. There's the retreat into the Aqua Return.
As long as Andrew has enough energy remaining in the deck, he has boss's orders in hand, and he can bring up that Manaphy. Only 70 hit points, take the KO, and move on to game number 2. Let's see if Andrew has enough energy.
So after 2 prizes taken for Isaiah, the boss's orders in hand, all he has to do is Primal Turbo and show it. Let's look at the energies remaining, Chip.
Yeah, he's got plenty. There's more than enough energies here. Double Primal Turbo, throw those energies into play, and slam that boss's orders. Andrew Hedrick, you move up 1 game here in the finals.
Beautiful gameplay. Andrew Hedrick got ahead early and did not let go. He did not let up on the gas, and that's exactly how you want this mirror match to play out in your favor. Now, when we go into game number 2, Isaiah is going to be the one that wants to get that early advantage. But Andrew has 2 shots now of being able to just completely high roll, just stomp through and claim that final victory that he needs to get that champion win.
Yeah, you could almost see the annoyance on Isaiah's face. He did not love the way that game went, and in these situations, you've got to shake that off. You've got to get that game out of your head and just totally dial in, focus on this next game. You have to win 2 games now, and there is no room for error. You're going to get the advantage of going first here in this game. You got to cross your fingers and hope that it is a hand that opening hand is a hand that contains a way to get down some Archeops and a way to definitely get down a Lugia V.
From Isaiah's perspective, he has to pretend that first game didn't happen, and he's sitting down at the table fresh right now and is planning to 2-0. That's exactly how a finalist is going to take this win, and we'll see if Isaiah can get the pseudo 2-0 back-to-back wins and close this out. The Lugia Mirror is very volatile, but Isaiah's build of the deck, the only tech choices and responsive cards we see is, of course, a nod to the weakness with the Dunsparce, a couple lost vacuums in there, but didn't go too far into committing to countering the counters. Is still playing a very solid, straight-up list, and the deck just needs to respond.
Getting a little peek at Andrew's hand. I can't quite see Isaiah's, but looks like there's something to work with for both players. Oh, double Lugia V for Isaiah. Hopefully he can find his 1 more remaining. We see 1 Lugia V for Andrew, and it is just going to be that 1.
3 Lugia V and 2 Lugia V Star. You have to give up something. And we know that Tor Reklev was a huge fan of, the 4-4 spread, making sure you get that Lugia very consistently. But in the mirror match, the Lugia doesn't do as much work. It's only there to complete the setup, and then your other attackers like Yveltal and Raikou are really putting in the work that you want to see. So Isaiah Bradner opening up with the capture energy attached to the starting Raikou. Going to take a look at the deck now and receive the news that there's just 1 Lugia V in the deck.
Yeah, taking a moment to check those prize cards. We always see Isaiah doing this, bringing those energies to the front, so he is totally aware of what he has and doesn't. Wants to know exactly what those energy counts are. He did prize a powerful colorless, I believe, a capture energy as well. So there's a few things he'll be making note of, and definitely being quite aware that he only has this 1 Lugia V.
And that changes your play a little bit. You set up the Lugia V, you're going to baby it a little bit more, maybe just try to get the V-Guard energy on there somehow. And Andrew isn't going to be aware of, oh, there's only one Lugia V, but if you're in the situation, you might even say, okay, I'm going to take the early knockout regardless. You want to boss up this Lugia V, try to get the KO. So if Isaiah takes too long to get that summoning star down, he's going to be out of this game.
Lugia V is the grab from the Capture Energy. We'll get a good shuffle of the deck as Isaiah was moving some cards around as he was checking prizes. I think he does have an Ultra Ball in the hand, but the fact that he's shuffling, that tells me that there's nothing he wants to discard immediately in this hand. He might be wanting to save that Ultra Ball to get himself the Lugia V-Star on the next turn.
Especially after seeing that there is no other Lugia V, you have to be a little bit more precious with guaranteeing this evolution, and Isaiah is going to make the compromise of taking a slower starting turn for the sake of guaranteeing his setup will go through. And it's up to Andrew to capitalize on this slower start after the turn passes over. Got a Serena in hand,
yeah,
a Luminion.
Andrew's hand is not the best. He's got a couple of energy cards, a couple Serena, and he uses that Primate Wisdom and finds an Evolution Incense. We've seen this play from Andrew several times, just going for that blind Primate Wisdom, and he gets rewarded with an Evolution Incense, a great card to draw here.
Seeing one extra card can be the difference between a dead hand and a live one, Chip. The Primate Wisdom, getting the Evolution Incense, searching the deck now, going to grab the Archeops. It's all coming together. I believe there was also a Quick Ball in the hand, so we can get that in the discard pile. Keep the chain going.
This is Andrew's first deck search. Of course, it is his first turn, so he'll be taking a moment, just like Isaiah, to check those prizes and make sure he's aware of everything. But Archeops is definitely going to be the grab off of this Evolution Incense. And I did see a Quick Ball in the hand, so we will be getting down the Lugia V.
Once Lugia V is down, Isaiah is going to be under immense pressure as well. This is the part of the game where you have the option to evolve, maybe try to go for the attack. Who knows? With Isaiah going first in this match, he's also going to be the one that's able to attack first. If the Lugia V-Star can maybe snipe up that Lugia V, he will find himself massively ahead, and then that early gambit will pay off of taking the slower first turn.
Also, with Isaiah starting the Raikou in the active spot, that's something Andrew needs to be aware of. He may be wanting to grab out his Manaphy a little bit earlier than normal in this situation so that he can limit that bench damage onto the Lugia V, making it easier for something else to KO it later.
This is such a key card, that the Raikou. It puts in a lot of work because not only are you KOing the active, you're damaging a Pokemon on the bench. It restricts your opponent's ability to promote something, and then it's just a prize card that you can claim later on. There's no way for this deck to remove those counters or heal, so it's just going to be Radiant Charizard and Serena. And discard 2 cards and then draw 5.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. You're losing Luminion and Serena regardless. I guess if you play Serena, the Luminion doesn't get put in play, but if you play Luminion, you can go get Research, and you can draw 7 cards instead of just 5.
Leaving the Research in the deck could be something that Andrew's trying to play towards for the late game. If you're looking for a specific card, you need to close this out, because Andrew, of course, is thinking towards wanting to go for the 2-0. In the mirror match, you never want you don't want the best of 3 to go to game 3, because even if you did very well in game 1 and did very well in game 2, there is always that chance that your opponent is going to draw the nuts, get that double Archeops in the discard pile on turn 1 with an Ultra Ball, and you're just going to find yourself completely blown out of the water. Isaiah starting off with the Ultra Ball.
Discarding that Lost Vacuum, and he's thinking about getting rid of Luminion as well. It looks like his last cards in hand are Serena, Boss's Orders, and I think that is a Marnie in there as well.
A lot of strong supporters. You want to hold on to those, and it makes sense then to get rid of Luminion if you have the supporters already in your hand, ready to go. Archeops being eyeballed from the Ultra Ball. We have to find a way to discard this from the hand as well to get it into the discard pile. And who knows if Isaiah is maybe going to forego the Archeops for now, get the V-Star. It's a lot of Pokemon have to be found, and there's not enough resources to do it right now based on Isaiah's current hand.
Yeah, and with Isaiah grabbing this Archeops, I actually think that Marnie must have been Research, or he's just going to go with the Serena here, which is kind of a slow play. It might be what he needs to do, he feels like, at least, and He's going to need really solid cards off of Serena if that's his supportive return.
Yeah, that next 5 cards, be it from Serena or Marnie, are going to be the key to keeping Isaiah Bradner in this best of 3. There is the Marnie. Players shuffling their hands are going down to the bottom of the deck.
So he will use the Aurora energy here as his way to get the Archeops into the discard pile. So off of 5 cards for Isaiah, he's looking for a way to discard an Archeops and also a way to get a Lugia V-Star. If he can do that, he's going to be in a solid spot. That is a lot to get off of just 5 cards.
I think I saw an Archeops. I saw an Evolution Incense chip.
Is there a way to discard the Archeops is the question, though.
Oh, man, he's holding the hand so close to his chest. The suspense is killing me.
It looks like Evolution Incense. This can grab that V-Star, and we may see the answer to your question, Skarzig. Does he go for the lone Archeops?
I mean, Isaiah, as we've seen time and time again, Chip, he's a player that wears his heart on his sleeve. You can tell by his reaction that this is probably going to be a solid turn. Lugia V-Star now entering the fray.
Yeah, I think sequencing would just lend to the fact that you would want to... Oh, no, he's got the quick ball. He does have the way to discard the Archeops. What a huge draw off of a 5-card Marnie, getting rid of Archeops here with the quick ball and had the way to get the Lugia V-Star. Incredible.
Absolutely godlike. Marnie has the Archeops in the discard pile. Now we can get set up with the Raikou or the Lugia V-Star. If we can take down this Oranguru, that's a power card for Andrew, apparently. It's that final card that you get to see off the Primate Wisdom has always been the key for Andrew tying together his turns. And Isaiah was the one that got his Oranguru knocked out first in game number 1, and it really restricted his options to come back into the game. So, it's a start. It's 1 prize out of 6, and it's 1 prize towards keeping Isaiah in this match, and 1 more prize towards perhaps making him our Orlando regional champion.
We see the flip of the V-Star marker, that summoning star, V-Star power, activating these 2 Archeops, bringing them back from the discard pile, and those energies can be accelerated with the Primal Turbo. Does need 2 more energies as the Amazing Shot does require 3 different types of energy, and Capture Energy is not going to be working for him. Archeops can bring out another couple energies here. I wonder if this might just grab a Capture Energy and leave it on an Archeops as a pivot, potentially.
Very solid. Isaiah's just going to double check. He's got his hand on that Capture Energy. Not committing
Haven't taken my hand off yet. Yep.
And having the pivot set up, this is so important, especially for the mirror. You have to plan for, I'm attacking, but when this attacker goes down, what am I doing next? What am I doing next? Already planning for this Raikou to go down. At least it's getting the Amazing Shot through before Manaphy enters play. This is going to be massive, Chip.
And it is going to be the Amazing Shot. Knocking out Oranguru, 120 to that Radiant Charizard, making that very easy for just about anything to KO it later. Honestly, we could see a Manaphy come in and KO it later on. The Rain Splash or Rain Drip or something like that. Water Drip.
I think it's Rain Splash.
Rain Splash, yeah. It would hit for weakness, and that would take the KO on Charizard.
And Charizard is that late game attacker you like to see when the game has really ground down and the players don't have any energies left. The Excited Heart ability is so useful, being able to attack for just 1 Heat energy or 1 Aurora energy, which is already attached. So as we're back over to Andrew, he's going to go for the Marnie now as well. Lugia V promoted to the active with 1 Aurora attachment. And this is going to be a big 5 cards for Andrew to try to respond to this.
Needs to find the V-Star here, has to find it, and he is able to draw into it. That was a great Marnie draw for him, not only off of his own Marnie, but also off of Isaiah's Marnie, as he was able to get the Aurora energy and discard an Archeops from the hand.
Now with the V-Star power, the Archeops are coming out for Andrew. This is a much more even game than we saw in game number 1, but Isaiah is still a little bit favored here, having the Raikou in play. Andrew still with no Manaphy, and Isaiah having taken the first prize. In order to catch up from this position, it means that Andrew is going to be much more reliant on Raikou or that double dip Fangs.
It's going to depend on what Isaiah can do to respond here. He's used 2 Aurora energies, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to attack with that amazing rare Eviltal. He can do it. He has the Heat Fire energy, and he has 2 more Aurora energies. So as long as none of those have been discarded just yet, he could attack with that amazing rare Eviltal. And also, if he's got enough powerful colorless energies and a choice belt, he could even just take the KO with his own Lugia V-Star.
Andrew's V-Star is going to get decked out with the double turbo energy and a V-Guard energy. Second Primal Turbo is coming around to also put a capture on the Archeops as a nice pivot point.
Yeah, great. We see both of these players doing it. It's easy to send up that Archeops. It's got one retreat and just go ahead and move it to the bench immediately after, once you can decide what you want to attack with that following turn.
Yep, we get the nice retreat, just one retreat cost, or one Primal Turbo activating a Speed Wing. We'll see how it comes to fruition. Raiko's going to go down. Andrew now claiming one prize and has a big Lugia V-Star in the active. Isaiah promoting the Archeops and needs to find an attacker to respond to this. Typically, you like to use the Eviltal from this mid-game position to take down the V-Star, especially if your opponent had to commit a bunch of powerful colorless energy to it. But Isaiah might be able to take a more balanced approach since all he needs to do is overcome a V-Guard.
I'm wanting to see in this discard pile, yeah, I don't notice the Aurora, another Aurora besides the two that just went down, or the Heat Fire in there just yet. So there are enough energy available for Isaiah to respond with the Amazing Rare Eviltal. The question is, does he have a way to get the Pokemon out of the deck? Is there a Quick Ball or a Capture Energy in this hand?
Especially after that Marnie, his hand might be very dead. He's double-checking the discard pile, evaluating the situation regarding the remaining energies. What attacker does he want to rely on most from this position?
And I will say there is a little bit of a problem for going in with that Amazing Rare Eviltal right away. If you use all of your Aurora energies on the Amazing Rare Eviltal, you no longer have the option to attack with a Luminion because you don't have a water energy left in your deck. And you also don't any longer have the energies required to attack with your Radiant Charizard because there's no fire energies left in your deck. So it may not even be Isaiah's desire to go for the Eviltal here.
That is true. Isaiah's not running the Wash energy the way Andrew is, so that you're down one potential water energy for your deck. Primal Turbo coming through after the Marnie.
If he found Choice Belt, he could get the KO with Lugia V-Star, and it looks like we're seeing the powerful colorless energies come out. Does that mean that Isaiah was able to get into the Choice Belt?
You only have to commit, right, 3 powerful and a choice to overcome the V-Guard energy.
Exactly.
So once that comes through, this is going to be Isaiah striking back and taking 2 more prizes, forcing Andrew into a line with the Evital, especially with the V-Guard energy being attached to Lugia V-Star as well.
You throw that on there. It's not super helpful now because Andrew's not threatening an additional Lugia, which is really the only thing that it matters for. So I maybe would have liked to have seen Isaiah try to save that for something like one of his one prizers later on, maybe even an Archeops, make it a little bit more difficult for something to KO later on. But we are seeing the Lugia V-Star come into the active. Is the Choice Belt in the hand to clean this up?
And we're going to see it right now, Chip. He's promoted it, and there's the Choice Belt. Triple powerful, and the Choice Belt boosting up the damage of the Tempest Dive. Evolution Incense going to thin out an Archeops before he takes his 2 prizes. Just needs to announce the attack, and things will go back over to Andrew Hedrick.
This is going to be a solid position. Andrew could respond with a KO using his Radiant Charizard if he can get his own Choice Belt, and then, of course, that Amazing Rare Eviltal will be an option.
Archeops being added to the hand, and there's the attack. 2 prizes now going over to Isaiah Bradner, pulling ahead in the prize race. 3 prizes remaining.
I don't see a Choice Belt in this hand, and I don't see much to work with. A Quick Ball can get the Luminion, and Andrew's going to be banking on whatever he draws from whichever supporter he chooses off a Luminous Sign.
And now with the Radiant Charizard being promoted to the active, it is threatening to take down this Lugia. We've got the Combustion Blast for 250 damage. We just need a little bit more.
And Andrew actually can guarantee the Choice Belt here. He has Luminion, which can grab Irida, that tech supporter card, allowing you to search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card. So all he's going to need now is 1 more energy onto this Charizard, and then it'll be able to attack and deal enough damage to KO this Lugia.
Beautiful. Luminion into Irida, finds the Manaphy as well. This is so good.
Yeah, and does have, of course, access to all of his energies through the Primal Turbo, but also has a Capture Energy in the hand. Could even use that to bring something out of the deck in this spot.
Yeah, just has the Capture Energy, maybe saving that in the hand, hoping to shuffle it back in with a Marnie, or if Isaiah goes for a Marnie, we get that back into the deck for free. Just going to use the Primal Turbo for 1 energy, and we can use the second Primal Turbo. Maybe do we attach something to this second Archeops or to this Luminion to get it prepped?
I think as long as you've got 1 energy in play to get yourself that pivot. You don't mind hanging on to another one, and he may want to hold off on the capture energy because it could be good for him to play it next turn to find whatever his attacker he wants to try to close out this game with.
So after taking those 2 prizes, Andrew Hedrick evens things out. 3 prizes remaining for both competitors. This is a neck-and-neck game number 2, Chip. Things are going to head back over to Isaiah Bradner, who needs to find an attacker and respond to this play.
We'll see what Isaiah wants to attack with. Of course, he has to send up the Archeops. He's got Quick Ball in hand, can easily discard this Archeops, and he'll have options to get just about any of his Pokemon, and this has set up nicely for the Stoutland, that double dip Fangs. Isaiah is down a ton of powerful colorless energy, but it doesn't matter because that Charizard only has 40 hit points remaining thanks to that early attack from that Raikou. Amazing rare.
Beautiful setup. You know, Isaiah was planning this all along. Stoutland V's Double Dick Fangs means that when you play it and knock out a basic Pokemon, you get that extra prize. It's so important for fixing the math, getting these prize trades in your favor. Double Dip Fangs, such a potent option for Lugia, not only in the mirror, but against these other like single prize decks.
Isaiah will just have to manage his energies properly when it comes to what he accelerates from Primal Turbo and what he retreats off of his active. I think he does have that double turbo energy in hand, so he can attach that to the active Archeops, move it to the bench, and Stoutland V has enough energy to attack with that double dip Fangs. We're seeing an extra prize, and Isaiah will go to just 1 prize remaining.
That's the perfect position to be in, Chip, in this second game. Isaiah is threatening to take us to game number 3 in the finals of the Orlando Regionals. 30 minutes still left on the clock. They're going to have plenty of time to play out that third game to the best of their ability. Now we just need 1 more attachment into the Archeops. There it is, the double turbo energy, so we can retreat a Professor's Research to round this out. 7 more fresh cards for Isaiah Bradner.
Seeing 7 more cards to work with, getting through the deck, doesn't mind.
He's liking what he's seeing,
those cards.
Chip.
Yeah, he's in a really solid position here, absolutely. And Andrew is going to have to find something to KO this Stoutland and also some way to put a Pokemon in the active spot that Isaiah can't reach for a KO on.
And Ultra Ball discards Evolution Incense, thinking about keeping the Pumpkaboo. And you can see what Isaiah is doing is calculating the final prize. Okay, where are all my energy now? How am I going to get this last prize card? Making sure that there's still enough left in the deck that he can use whatever attacker he deems necessary. It's going to be Serena discarded to the Ultra Ball.
I think Isaiah is going to have this game locked up. I'm just trying to think through all of the options for Andrew. If he had another Choice Belt and had enough powerful colorless energies, he could use Speed Wing to knock out the Stoutland and then hope that Isaiah doesn't have a way to respond KO the Archeops. We see Isaiah now grabbing the Radiant Charizard, is eliminating that potential play. And also Andrew only plays 1 Choice Belt and it's already in play onto the Charizard. So I'm just really not seeing the path here for Andrew. Isaiah has found a way to set up almost a checkmate scenario, going down to just 1 prize card. Andrew Hedrick here looking through the discard pile, looking for some answer, some path, some way back into this game.
Andrew's just evaluating the situation. I think he might see the writing on the wall, Chip. Force the opponent to have it. Even if the Stoutland goes down, the Radiant Charizard means that it's going to attack for free. Just needs the 1 more energy attachment, either that Heat Fire, which I believe was discarded to a research long ago.
I believe so.
Just needs 1 more Aurora, and Isaiah was evaluating the discard pile and making absolutely sure he had it.
Yeah.
There was also a powerful colorless energy taken from the prizes, so maybe Archeops is able to find a victim.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way Isaiah would have put this Charizard in play if he didn't know he had a fire energy remaining in order to attack with it. So Andrew now will play this Quick Ball, look for a potential out, a potential answer. What can he put into the active that Stoutland cannot KO? Lugia V doesn't get knocked out by the Stoutland immediately, but it also cannot knock out the Stoutland. So maybe if Andrew can get down the Lugia V, find a boss's orders, and get a powerful colorless energy onto this Lugia V, knock out the Archeops, deal 150 damage, and then if Andrew doesn't or Isaiah doesn't have his last powerful colorless energy, that may be Andrew's way back in.
And if there is a way to stay alive in the game, these players are going to absolutely pursue that. Here comes the Lugia V onto the bench and the Primal Turbo to start getting some energies accelerated to it. There's double powerful put onto the Lugia V.
Yeah, I think he's down one, but no, he does actually have all of his powerfuls because there is one in the hand. So this is how Andrew can actually knock out the Stoutland here. And this is his play. He's going to swing with this Lugia V, attach this powerful colorless energy. He'll be doing enough with the arrow dive, 210 exactly to take this knockout. And he's just crossing his fingers that Isaiah does not have a fire energy to attack with the Radiant Charizard on his bench.
Lugia V promoted, powerful energy all attached. The most powerful arrow dive we've ever seen, Chip. Taking 2 more prizes, going down to 1 remaining. Both players, I think, actually have Lugia V as their final prize.
And Isaiah,
Radiant Charizard goes up to the active.
Yep.
Here comes the Archeops looking through the deck, and there's the Heat Fire to take us to Game 3.
Game 3 of the Orlando Regional Championships, the final match. Isaiah's feeling really confident after that one. The momentum is starting to swing a little bit, but we have to remember, Andrew is now going to get to go first in Game 3.
Going first versus going second. We've heard conflicting opinions from the Lugia players. Some of them just like the plot armor. They don't care about going first or second. Some Lugia players feel like they've ascended and they're saying, I don't mind going second if I can trust that my opponent's going to misplay. But when you're in the finals of the largest regional, you cannot rely on that. So Andrew, by taking game number 1, finds a bit more of an advantage for himself here as we head into the 3rd game.
Yeah, I think both of these guys would be fist pumping if they knew they got to go first in game 3 of the finals. And Andrew Hedrick finds himself in that exact position. Isaiah Bradner is going to be the one trying to find answers, depending on what these opening hands look like. I'm really looking forward to this one, Adam. We're going to be crowning an Orlando Regional Champion in the next 25 minutes or so as the time is ticking down on our clock.
And these players are going to shuffle. They're going to shuffle like beans. They're going to make sure that all of the energies, all of the Archeops are all just mixed thoroughly into the deck. And even if Andrew goes first, there is the chance of just some gnarly brick. Maybe a Rangaroo leaves him in the dust finally. We saw in that second game, actually, his hand was pretty bad, and then the Orangaroo's Primate Wisdom found him the Evolution Incense and kind of brought the rest of the hand to life. So if Andrew finds himself in a similar situation and does not have the Orangaroo or that Primate Wisdom, seeing that final card from the top of the deck is not something he can use, it'll be almost as if Isaiah is going first.
So Andrew's hand is okay. He's starting Pumpkaboo, but he does have a couple of Evolution Incense, and he also has Quick Fall. So I don't think he'll complain about it too much. Pumpkaboo, though, is a not great starter.
So Archeops, Irida, Stoutland in the prizes. Nothing too shabby. Manaphy, however, in the prizes for Andrew is huge. He's actually only running 1 copy. So Raikou's going to be very important for Isaiah, who's starting Evital.
Definitely a little awkward here with that Pumpkaboo in the active spot. Does have the capture energy, though. Can bring down the Lugia at a minimum here. Here we go. Game 3 of the finals. You got to put everything on the line in this spot. Take your time. There is plenty of time still remaining in this round. We'll absolutely see a full game complete here. No sort of, whoever's ahead on prizes wins the game shenanigans. No time being called most likely.
Yeah, this Lugia Mirror is going to be a slugfest, Chip, and I'm so excited to get started.
Yep.
Just searching through the deck, evaluating the prizes. This Capture Energy already has the Lugia V lined up, and the rest is just going to have to fall into place for Andrew. Isaiah, once he gets a look at the prizes, sees what the situation is looking like, he might try to go for that Raikou. Who knows?
Does have the Evolution Incense here on Andrew's side. Can grab Archeops and Quick Ball in hand. Will ditch that to the discard pile immediately.
Beautiful. So 1 Archeops there. This is, 1/3 of the plan coming together. 1 Archeops in the discard pile. Lugia V on the bench. Now we just have to get the second Archeops, a way to discard it, and Lugia V-Star.
I think I'd love to see Andrew find his Orangaroo here, if he could get that out. Try to prep something on top of the deck, but for now, it is a Luminion V.
Lumineon V is such a powerful Pokemon for this deck specifically. You find that supporter that you're missing for the turn. It's so easy for this list to shuffle it back into the deck with Aqua Return, so you get those special energies back into the deck, and it's this beautiful cycle to feed your Primal Turbos and to keep your ability to get a decent attacker and keep those supporters up, coming over and over again. Yveltal going to attach a Capture Energy now, and Isaiah is going to be the one to search through his deck.
And with a pretty poor hand, Andrew was actually forced to grab that Lumineon out of the deck. He really doesn't have anything else going on. He's going to be relying on that Lumineon to find him a supporter next turn. So that's why we saw him grab that, as opposed to going for the Oranguru. It was absolutely what he needed to do.
So Isaiah is taking the count now, and maybe after the Lumineon was grabbed, might be signaled that the hand isn't that great. Might go for a Marnie. Do you just let your opponent just play the Lumineon? Would you feel like Marnie is a good play here, Chip, or is there something else that Isaiah could do, a different supporter?
Yeah, I think in this spot you kind of want to try to value your own setup, but there is, of course, in this mirror match, merit to trying to leave your opponent with less cards in their hand. Like you said, Isaiah knows for certain Andrew at least has a way to get a supporter next turn.
And if you disrupt that ability for your opponent to get your setup, as I said, Isaiah would be essentially the one going first anyway. Lugia V now onto the bench. Both players pretty even. As long as Isaiah can get an Archeops into the discard pile, he'll still be keeping up with Andrew's pace at the very least.
Yeah, going to be looking to get those down into the discard will be the shuffle of the deck here, as Lugia has come down, Capture Energy onto that active Yveltal Amazing Rare. Seeming like Yveltal's not been really much of a factor in this mirror match for either of these players, not wanting to go that route, and I think that's a big part of them not wanting to commit too many of their Aurora energies. While Amazing Rare Yveltal is an incredible attacker, it is very, very costly.
It's definitely a, in case of emergency, break glass kind of attacker, where when you're super far behind or there's a Lugia V-Star with tons of powerful energy and there's no other way to take it down, you've got to go for the Yveltal.
Oh, no. Archeops in the discard pile. Just a pass onto Andrew's turn. He does top deck the Marnie, so that could be the play here, but your opponent just passed. Didn't play a single supporter. I think this is an opportunity here for Andrew to try and get ahead.
By saying my opponent's hand is bad, I don't want to Marnie them into a good one. I'm going to leave it as is. Andrew's going to open with the Evolution Incense and find that next Archeops.
Does he have the cards in hand to be able to go for the V-Star right now and Lumineon, Serena bring up that Lugia and take it out? If he does, that would be maybe a game-winning play, but I don't think he quite does. He's got a double turbo energy in hand, which isn't super helpful, and with only one Archeops, I don't think he would be able to get enough energies onto his Lugia V-Star in order to make that KO happen.
Yes, Lumineon's just going to find the Professor's Research. It remains to be seen if Andrew's going to pull the trigger on this turn because, there is a Marnie in the hand that might come into play later on to shuffle some energies back in.
I think we're definitely going to see this Research, especially because he grabbed out that Archeops, right, with the Evolution Incense. He wants to put that in the discard pile right away. The question is, does he want to put the double turbo into play? And it looks like the answer is yes. Another question would be, do you ever put the Stoutland in play? And looks like the answer to that question is no.
So Stoutland's also going to go to the discard pile. Attaching the double turbo energy to the Pumpkaboo is to set up for this potential play of retreating the Pumpkaboo into the Lugia V, getting the V-Star into the Archeops, summoning Star. It's all coming together, and there's the Lugia V-Star.
He's got it. Can get both of those Archeops right back into play. He did draw into 4 energy cards there, which is always a little awkward, but when you're playing 16 energies, you're definitely going to have enough remaining in the deck to get off an attack here.
So after the Professor's Research, there won't be a boss, but you do get to take down the Yveltal, and that means that Isaiah is not going to have that big get-out-of-jail-free card comeback potential in this matchup. Andrew getting the first knockout is also very important for the mirror, and Isaiah is under immense pressure to respond with an absolutely cataclysmic turn to keep up in game number 3.
Having his hands on his head, feeling like this might be a tough spot. He didn't play a supporter from his hand last turn. He played absolutely nothing. So we'll have to see what is remaining in the hand. Can he find a way to fight back in this game to get into a better position? We'll see what he has.
When Yveltal goes down, Lugia V, it's going to have to be just a monumental play play from Isaiah. He's got to have Lugia V-Star to get the evolution. We got to find that other Archeops to get that discard into the discard pile, then get them back into play with the Summoning Star, and then tons of powerful colorless energy to get the return KO on the Lugia V-Star. And that's just to stay in the game.
Right.
Then you're just left with one attacker in play. Who knows what other Pokemon might join in on that.
And we will see Lumineon take the KO on Yveltal, shuffle itself back in, and promote this Pumpkaboo. I will say there is a world where this could get punished with a Stoutland attack, taking a pretty easy KO on this Pumpkaboo, but actually, if I'm remembering right, Isaiah did prize his Stoutland this game.
That is correct. The Stoutland is missing. So Andrew is going to be able to confidently promote this Pumpkaboo, and at the end of the day, you're still promoting just a single prize Pokemon you don't really care about, and this is just a way to buy time on your bench. You know that Isaiah has a pretty slow, rocky start from here, so Andrew doesn't mind just taking an in-between play. You get your prize, and you don't have to worry about pivoting to the next attacker right away.
Oh, what is the top deck here? It looks like it is just a Lugia V-Star, but there is absolutely nothing else going on in this hand. No Ultra Balls, no Quick Balls, not even a supporter here for Isaiah. It's just going to be Evolution Incense to thin this Archeops out, and he can evolve into the Lugia V-Star in his hand, but he can't even use Summoning Star. There's no Archeops in his discard pile. It can't bring back Yveltal.
Yeah, so once Lugia V-Star enters play, you can't use that ability. You can't accelerate energy to attack, and this is going to throw things right back into Andrew Hedrick's court, and he's going to take another prize if you give him the opportunity.
Now, my question is, did he have maybe an Aurora energy in his hand? That could be a way for him to discard this Archeops. No, it is a V-Guard energy. Is that it? It's a pass! Ooh. Andrew Hedrick could win the game this turn. He needs Choice Belt and 3 powerful colorless energies and a way to retreat this Pumpkaboo in the active spot. If he can piece all of that together, he can close out the game.
So there's 1 powerful in the hand, 2 powerful in the hand.
There is 3 powerful in this hand, actually.
No.
That makes things really awkward. I actually don't think Andrew can win this turn. He could do it with that amazing rare Yveltal. That's going to be his pivot now. He's checking through the energies. Let's see. He's got all the... Yeah, he's got all of those energies in the deck. If he's got that amazing rare Yveltal, I think he can do it. Charizard also could do it with the Choice Belt as well. No, he's got the Yveltal in the hand.
Yveltal, Primal Turbo, he's scrambling.
Yeah.
He sees the play chip. He's going for it. He just needs to execute. His hands are shaking. He's salivating. He sees the win. So does Isaiah Bradner. And that's going to be Andrew Hedrick taking down the biggest regional championship so far. Say hello to your Orlando regional champion. It was hard fought, 2 long days of competition, and he takes it down in fantastic style.
Congratulations
to Andrew. Pop off for the crowd, young man. Let's go.
Congratulations to Andrew, and you can see that this is tough for Isaiah. He played well, and that is just such a tough way to go out. There was nothing he could have done differently in game number 3. His hand was just not working with him, had absolutely nothing to go with, and Andrew was able to capitalize. Yveltal coming in and actually making something happen in this mirror match.
Yeah, fantastic play. Getting the advantage in that first game pays off at the end of the set. Isaiah is a fantastic player. He's such a good sport. Even though it's going to hit him hard, he's always congratulating his opponents, and he, is the best man in more ways than one.